electronic music, you probably think of like the Mario Brothers theme or some other 8-bit video game music you heard in the 80s and 90s. But decades before we even became aware of it, the University of Illinois was experimenting with computer-generated sounds and music. That creative wave is the focus of today's Our Story with Scott Schwartz with the Sousa Center for American Music, the Sousa Archives and the Center for American Music at the University of Illinois. Good to have you, Scott.
Great to be here.
So what is electronic music?
It's anything produced electronically, computers, sound synthesizers, and so forth.
And it became its whole genre in and of itself.
Right. I mean, basically, the ELIAC, the first mainframe, is built here. That's in '52, and basically in '56, Laharn Hiller, Jerry Hiller, asks, "Is it possible to get the computer to compose music?" And basically mainframe computer composes music, and they eventually title it the ELIAC Suite. And it was written for a string quartet.
And this is amazing to me because I think a lot of people are familiar with the supercomputing abilities and the things that we've done at the University of Illinois, but applying that not just in a number crunching scenario, but in a what's essentially a creative process and product. Like, how did that happen? How does the computer create music?
Well, you basically develop programs with very specific outcomes. So Jerry, through the ELIAC Suite, establishes the evolution of music, starting with monody and then moving to harmony, and eventually moving to 12-tone row composition, which is all mathematical. So literally walking you through the history of music.
Wow, that's really cool. And it actually ties into an event that you have and a whole display that's up right now in an exhibit.
Right. Basically, the experimental studio is created in 1958. Jerry is the head of it. And in '62, their first PhD student, or one of the first, would be James Beauchamp. And he's brought here. He's an electrical engineer. He's a trumpeter. And he develops the harmonic tone generator between '62 and '64. And in '65, after he graduates, creates basically a whole program on electronic music.
Well, and we have a picture of the harmonic tone generator here. And it's a great piece, not only because it's a piece of history, but also you look at it and you feel like it's this wonky 1960 period piece of technology.
Well, it is, and basically it's very different from Moog's approach to sound synthesis, and both Moog and James Beauchamp unveil their sound synthesizers together, and literally it is Beauchamp's that's probably the truest of the harmonic kinds of structures, but it is Moog's who takes off and everybody uses today.
Now everyone that's watching is saying, okay, I've seen what this thing looks like, I kind of get what we're talking about in terms of electronic music, but you actually brought a clip of a piece so we can actually hear what this sounds like. So tell us a little bit about it, Scott.
Yeah, basically Jim used the harmonic tone generator to add synthesized sound to Salvatore Marturando's Underworld, and it's unveiled May 3rd of 1965. And in essence, we're bringing electronic music and all of its variations. Marturano works for the experimental studio, he's a faculty member, and they bring this into a theatrical production. So we have electronic, and we have individuals performing. So we have singing, shrieking, it's the underworld.
Yeah, okay, well, let's take a listen. Now, a lot of people are hearing these bits and pieces as we let this play, and are thinking, it sounds like a computer. Like, it's funny, we've kind of made that transition, but you know, I'm sure some people are saying it sounds like this very odd thing. Is it just that the composition was avant-garde and it was just cutting edge?
Well, it was clearly cutting edge and avant-garde. And in essence, they used a sound synthesizer to produce sequences that are then recorded. And in essence, they produce a tape, and that's what we hear. The core sounds come from the HDG.
That's so crazy. And the people that developed all of this were chemists,
chemists,
Electrical engineers?
Yep, and musicians.
Yeah.
And basically, they're all musicians who have other careers.
Brilliant minds.
Yes.
All
Yes,
coming together clearly.
absolutely.
So I want to bring in one of your graduate students now to kind of transition a little bit from kind of the experimental to the acoustic. So all of this is happening pretty much during that same period at the University of Illinois, right?
That's correct, yeah. Basically, Harry Partch comes to Illinois in '55. He's invited. He is asked to produce a piece for the Contemporary Arts, Contemporary Festival of Arts, and it's a major theatrical production. The work is called Bewitched, and the School of Music brings him here. He's a composer, theorist, writer, creator of instruments, and then becomes a faculty member.
So Chris Rainier, why did you connect with Harry Partch, of all people that you could be doing research on and studying?
Well, as a guitarist, I guess you're trying to find new ways of expressing yourself on the guitar, trying to find the notes that perhaps are a bit harder to find on a traditional guitar. I also play Hawaiian guitar with slide guitar, so there's a lot of notes in between the notes that you're able to get on a normal guitar.
And what's the word that you guys use to describe those notes between notes?
It's microtonal, so it's any note that isn't on, let's say, the 12 notes on the piano that you go up and down with.
Yeah.
You find them on the violin, you find them in the voice, you find them on the trombone. But on an instrument like the guitar, you have to make adjustments, as you can see, to be able to play those notes.
Well, I was going to say, I want to look at kind of the structure of the guitar here, because this is very different. This is not what you would expect.
Yeah,
with the straight frets across.
It is very different, and it's a bit like learning a new instrument. But as you can see, there's 3 pairs of strings, so there's a little bit less to go with than having to have all 6. So there's a learning curve, but a few months. It's like learning a new instrument. Well, that's slightly related to what you do.
He says this, but now can I put you on the spot? We have about a minute for some music.
I'll try and
would you be able to give us a sample? Okay.
This is the first movement of Barstow, 8 Hitchhiker's Inscriptions from a highway railing in Barstow, California.
Huh.
Number 1. Number 1. It's January 26th. I'm freezing Ed Fitzgerald, age 19, 5 feet 10 inches, black hair, brown eyes. Going home to Boston, Massachusetts. It's 4 and I'm hungry and broke. I wish I was dead. But today, I am a man. Going home to Boston, Massachusetts. It's 4 p.m. and I'm hungry and broke. I wish I was dead. But today I am a man. Oh. To Boston, Massachusetts.
So interesting. Wow, and you can hear those, like you were talking about, those microtones in there, and that's fascinating.
It's a lot about the human voice and the way we speak.
And you're going to be part of a presentation that's coming up, right, Chris?
Well, I'm doing a concert tomorrow night at the
Memorial Hall and the Smith Memorial Room at 7:30, and then you're giving a talk on Thursday at the Sousa Archives at noon to talk about Partch's music. And then Jim Beauchamp will be here to talk about the harmonic tone generator on Wednesday at noon at the Sousa Archives.
And this is all part of American Music Month.
That is correct. I'm talking about the unusual people who make it all happen.
Yeah, so interesting. You would not have heard about this anywhere else but here, because this is a fantastic opportunity to share this kind of music. So we're so glad you both could be here. This is really neat. Scott Schwartz, Chris Rainier, thank you so much. We appreciate the Sousa Archives and Center for American Music. There's the event that's coming up on Wednesday. Again, we'll put the information on Chris's talk and his performance online at CILiving.tv. Thank you both for being here.